In today's video, we're going to be going over a better way to answer the question when somebody asks you, what is it that you do? So let's jump in. Hey there, this is Doc Eric. Welcome to my YouTube neighborhood, the channel where we go over one mindset tip and one body set tip that you'll be able to directly apply to your life. Today we're going to be talking about how to better answer the boring question when somebody asks you, what is it that you do? So when I was asked this question, I would always respond with the same basic answer by telling them what my job was. So for me, I would say chiropractor. I adjust people, I help people, we talk about nutrition, we talk about exercises, we talk about stretching, we talk about getting out of your chair more, blah, blah, blah. Very, very boring stuff. But then I got kind of bored by saying that. How many of you can relate when somebody asks you a question and you tell them what you do? Sometimes there's not always passion behind the words that you use when you describe what you do. Or after you tell them what you do, they get bored after listening to you for 2 seconds and then you're stuck in that conversation. Kind of awkward, right? So what I decided to do was to change the language that I was using. So instead, when people ask me, hey, what is it that you do? I don't use the boring description that we always use. Instead, I say, let me tell you what I'm up to. Now this is interesting because that's not typically how somebody responds with, what do you do? Now you've created some intrigue. Now they're a little bit curious as to what it is that you do. So now when someone asks me, I'll lead with, what do you do? I say, here's what I'm up to. I help people. I help people live a more fulfilled, healthier, and active lifestyle regardless of what they do as a profession. And right now we have a culture that doesn't recognize that they have the capacity to change, and they've always had the capacity to change. They've just forgotten the way how. And so I want to change that mindset of having to just settle with the body that you're living in, settle with the pain that you're living in, settling with the limitations that you might be having, and then all that somebody needs in order to change. And if somebody wants to have that robust lifestyle that they used to have, it's not as far away as they think, and all they need is a little bit of attention, a little bit of concentration, and a little bit of accountability. That's what I'm up to. So you can see the way that I describe what it is that I do now has a different impact on the person who just listened to what I told them that I do. Kind of cool, right? So instead of leading with the form of what I do, which is a chiropractor, I lead with the function of what I do within the form, which is to help people and all the things that I just mentioned. There's an expression that goes, form follows function. And so for many of us, the form of what we do has changed in the current climate that we're all living in. But the function of what we do, which is the passion behind what we do, has remained the same. You see, I find people who are passionate about what they do or what they're up to are some of the most fascinating people to interact with. They smile constantly when they tell you exactly what they're up to. They speak with so much passion and so much enthusiasm that you cannot help but want to snag just a little piece of that for yourself. And maybe for you, you're not quite passionate enough about what it is that you're currently doing right now. And that's totally okay. Another thing when you have these ideas of, here's what I'm up to, when you write them down, whether it's on a post-it note or whether it's on your phone, is what that does is that creates mental free space so that you can continue to be creative elsewhere, right? So when you write things down, it's no longer trapped in your brain. You've actually committed it to either your electronic device or a piece of paper, and that allows you to continue to kind of go off on tangents, right? It's kind of there, you can see it, you're looking at it, and they're able to kind of brainstorm and kind of branch off, which is pretty cool too. You and I, we're all creative beings. And even though the current circumstances may be impacting what you do, or used to do, or are now having to do, the function of what you do will always find a new form. For example, people who used to work in offices are now working from home. They no longer have to commute. The form that your work once took, as in being in an office, now changes, but the good work that you still do in the world remains the same. People in the service industry who are cooking wonderful meals for people that need them are now offering delivery and pickup options. The form of the work that they do has shifted, but the function still remains the same. So I want you to play with the idea and reframe the question of, what is it that I do? And now say, here's what I am up to. Look at the function of what you do on a daily basis, the thing that gets your creativity flowing, and see what form that can take. Play in that space, let the words come out, and see what happens. For those creative geniuses that have a side hobby, or maybe in that transition period of their life where they're willing to try something new, this language applies to you too. Maybe you've been sitting an idea for a couple of years and the world has been waiting for this thing to happen. Maybe you have a really big idea that has a global impact. Or maybe your idea is a little bit smaller and has a local community outreach. Both are okay. Whatever it is, don't let it be a best kept secret. Don't forget about co-creativity. If you're really passionate about something and you have friends or colleagues who are equally as passionate about what it is that you do, why not involve them as well? right? Make this an event, make this an exercise, a little mini workshop in your office. Have some fun and play with it. Especially if you're in a business of more than one person, it helps to get that stimulated creativity going so that you can maybe get out of old pitfalls, or you're stopping doing business as usual, day in, day out, 9 to 5. It gets boring after a while. And if your business is not producing, or if we feel that you are creatively stagnant, then this is something to definitely enroll with another person, especially if they're up for it. And if they're not, get them to do it anyway. It's fun. When you're passionate about something, go ahead and share it. The people that you interact with who are really enthusiastic about what you're talking about, they're going to get energized too. And they're going to be asking you more questions. And you'll already have those answers ready for them. Connections will be made, and that's how you know you're on the right path. So we've been talking about what it is that I do versus here's what I'm up to. So sometimes that takes a little bit of mental gymnastics to get that ball rolling, and I totally get it. When you're doing this mindset tip, don't forget you can incorporate a body set tip as well. You don't just have to sit at your desk and jot down notes or write an email or post it to yourself. Don't forget that you can actually make this a physical activity as well. You can go outside, you can walk around, you can walk on a treadmill. Because when the body gets moving, oxygenation starts to hit all those key tissues, including the brain, which helps you improve cognitive function. That's why a lot of creative thinkers, when you talk to them, they'll say, I got my big idea when I was blank, which is usually going for a walk or doing something other than just kind of being stuck in a position, for a long period of time. So don't forget to play in that world as well. One of the easiest ways that I have found to get those creative juices flowing is to go for a walk or to do some sort of light exercise. Maybe I can take a pen or a piece of paper with me, or maybe I have my phone and I can kind of jot things down in the notes as I'm walking. And sometimes you'll say a word and then you'll write that down. And then that word will lead to other words, and then that really starts to kind of solidify the things that you're thinking about and the things that you're passionate about. Sometimes it actually helps to talk out loud as well. You can say, here's what I'm up to, and then you just start blurting words. So there you have it, another mindset tip and another body set tip to play with. Go ahead and try those on, see how you make out. And as always, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Comment below and let me know what kind of language that you're now using. You've changed the words from what I do to here's what I'm up to. Thanks so much, and as always, stay healthy.